Assalamu alaikum, dear students of class 7th. My subject is English and the topic is three questions. It is fifth part, right? Fifth part of the topic, three questions that we are likely to discuss today. So, dear students, it is all about a conversation between the king and the hermit, right? And in this part today, we will throw a light. It was the first time when the hermit spoke to the king. He told him that a person was coming and running. A person was coming. A person was coming, running. Towards them, right? Who told this? The hermit told the king. The hermit told the king that you just see a person was coming towards them. He was running. He was coming towards them. The king saw around. The king saw around. Saw around. The king saw around and found that a man was coming towards them. A bearded man. Bearded man. Having beard on his face. Bearded man. A bearded man. Right? A bearded man was coming towards them, right? So when the king saw this, and he was surprised to see a deep wound. The king was surprised to see a deep wound on his head, on the bearded man's head, on the bearded man's head, a deep wound. And the blood was flowing. And the blood was flowing. And this bearded man, this injured man, he was crying in pain. He was crying in pain. Right? So, dear students, when he approached them, when the injured man approached them, the king dressed. The king dressed the injured man, the bearded man, right? And finally, the king succeeded in preventing blood from flowing. In preventing blood from flowing. Preventing blood from flowing. That means he prevented blood from flowing any further, right? So, when it was evening, both of them, that means the king and the hermit, carried this wounded man inside the hut. Inside the hut. Right? The wounded man asked for something to drink. Something to drink. The king gave him, offered him a fresh water, a fresh water, a bottle of water, right? This wounded man felt relieved, felt relieved. This wounded man felt relieved and felt asleep, and felt asleep. Same was the case with the king. The king also felt asleep. The king also felt asleep. So, next morning, the wounded man asked the injured man, the injured man, the bearded man, the wounded man, asked the king to forgive him, to forgive him, to forgive him. The king was surprised. What was it? Why he was talking this nonsense? Why he was talking like this? But this injured man told the king that he was his enemy. He was his enemy. He was king's enemy, who had come to kill the king, who had come to kill him, to kill the king, right? To kill the king. To kill the king. Because he had already encountered, he had already attacked, he had already attacked his bodyguard. And that bodyguard, the king's bodyguard, wounded him, injured him. And that is why he was running, he was coming towards you, towards both of you. That means towards the hermit and the king, because they were nearby, they were nearer to that scene. And he told him that if he had not dressed him, if the king had not dressed him, that means injured man, the king had not dressed the injured man, he would have been, he would have died. But he saved his life when he dressed his wounds, when the king dressed his wounds. And naturally, he saved the life of this bearded man. But this bearded man was the king. This bearded man was the enemy of the king, who had come to kill the king. To kill the king. But in the middle, there was an encounter between the bodyguard and this bearded man, and this bearded man was injured. The king didn't know anything about that scenario, about that occasion, about that happening. So, their students, it was something amazing that a man had come to kill the king, but the king in turn saved the life, dressed the wounds, saved the life of that enemy. So this enemy or this bearded man told him that he should forgive. He should forgive him. He should forgive him. He told the king that he should forgive him. And the king, in return, forgave the bearded man and made him his friend. And made him his friend. Right? Not only this, the king agreed that he would send his servants. He would send his servants. He would send his servants to look after, to look after, to look after the injured man. To look after the injured man. Not only this, he would send a doctor to care. He would send a doctor to care, to take care of this injured man. Though he was his enemy, he was the king's enemy. But in turn, you see a good approach, a good attitude that was displayed, that was shown by the king. And he served him, he dressed him, he dressed his wounds, he saved his life, he saved the enemy's life. Right? So, dear students, it was all about today. Inshallah, we will take tomorrow. It is one more part and the last part. Thanks.